felt like I was an imposter over there because they're all like have their laptops up working. They're like doing active stuff while they're there, and I'm just like what do I do here? I'm like, what do I do sitting in this media row? You know?
That's
And they had all
amazing,
the
though.
like good journalists that we always see, and then I'm just
Yeah.
like just little me here, don't mind me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just jump in. So, welcome to 180 Shift, the radar rundown. We're going to be talking about current and cultural events for the next 20 minutes, so get ready. Ellie, my first question is, oh my goodness, what was your reaction when you found out that you were going to have the opportunity to attend the Charlie Kirk Memorial?
It was so surprising. I didn't know if I was gonna go at first. I mean, I was going back and forth because I have work, I've got volunteer stuff that I'm doing, and this event gets thrown up, right? But I knew that it was gonna be something that was important to the like everything around us. I mean, so many people were looking at going, and I was like, if I miss this, this is gonna be a very big opportunity to come and look. And I'm so glad that God provided a way for us to be able to go out there, get some interviews. It was just amazing. Yeah.
That is so great. I just love that you ended up going with like they were strangers to you, but they were some friends
Yes.
of mine from the church. What was that experience like?
Yeah, no, I was so nervous. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, these are people I don't know. Like, I'm gonna be sleeping in the same hotel as them. They're driving, me there and back. So it was definitely a little scary, but it was great. They're lovely people. I loved them so much, and I think it made the experience like an adventure, and it was just amazing. I really loved being in their company too. So that was fun.
That is
Yeah.
so cool. I love those two people so much. Oh my goodness. It was just so like it just felt like such a godsend that those were the two people who felt activated to go and were able to go.
Yeah,
Uh, so that was wonderful. And so we got press passes for 180
we
Shift at this
did.
event, and so much of what I saw online was just there is nothing like this experience. I like when you interviewed Patrick Brett David, he
Yeah.
said, and that was the second time that 180 Shift has
Mhm.
done an interview with him, and he said, just, you had asked him, how did this make you feel? Like, what emotions did you
Mhm.
feel during this memorial? And he said, every emotion, from tears to laughter,
Yeah.
the conservative movement. I mean, like, can you reiterate what he said? It was like,
Yeah, he was just saying like how I mean there's everything when you're there you're hearing and you're being filled with stories of Charlie, his life before he became famous, while he was famous, some of his struggles. Um and you're hearing these testimonies from these people, and sometimes they'll bring you to tears, and some of them were just laughter, like, he was so much fun, to hear about. And the entire service was very moving, along with all the worship movie music that was going on, that was playing, that was being sung. You just felt a lot of emotions. Like, there was a heavy presence of emotions at this memorial, and obviously because somebody has passed, but you also are celebrating their life and their achievements, and the way that God has worked in their life. And that was something that was very impactful to a lot of people were crying, people were laughing, and it was just like Patrick but David said, um and there was a reel that I saw, that this lady said he meant nothing to, and nobody's going to celebrate him. This is going to mean nothing to you know to everyone. And I mean she's been proved wrong.
she
There
couldn't be
was
more wrong.
Yeah, there was like 200,000 people that were there. People were leaving because they couldn't get in there. There was a lot more people that would have gone if they could have had a seat in there. So there were so many people who were just wanting to go to this event. And um yeah,
How,
they
well, how did you get in? What did you have to do to get in?
that was insane. So for the press, I had to go a different route, but I woke up at 4 in the morning. I think it was 4 in the morning. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I had gotten press passes at 2 a.m., so I had 1 hour of sleep. I got to the location that we needed to be at just the right time. However, we were freaking out. We left an entire hour early, and it was only 4 miles to get from the hotel to the stadium, and we barely got there. With 5 minutes to spare because it was a standstill. My mother and I actually had to get out of the car because it was just complete stop, dead stop, and I'm so glad we did because we walked and we got there in time to the actual thing because we had an Uber and we were just like, we're just gonna walk. And we
Yeah.
did
Oh
that.
my goodness.
Yeah, and while we were doing that, I'm seeing people walking miles to the event. And you know what? To talk about these people, they are so resilient. They were not only walking to the location, but also stood out there for hours. And the reason why you're seeing, they let people in about an hour early than planned. They were supposed to let people in at 8. Um, and the event started at 11, but they actually started letting people in at around 7 o'clock. I started noticing people come in, and that was because of the heat exhaustion that people were feeling standing in line because they were walking and they were tired. So that's that was happening there. Um, yeah,
Wow, I love that they
there's
took safety into consideration
yes, because people were starting to not feel so well
and
outside.
to suffer. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Arizona heat was coming in, so they decided to just let people in an hour early, and so glad they did. But yeah, when we got through, I'm gonna say 45 minutes of screening, all the press. There was a no bag policy, but press were, of course, were allowed to take their equipment. So it took about 45 minutes to get our stuff all checked in by the Secret Service and TSA. So that was an entire process.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we were escorted to the bottom floor, which is where all the, I guess you could call executive, type people, Patrick David down there, Topher, all this type, I guess celebrities you could say, were down there, and there was a lot of other people there too, and yeah, that was an entire process just to even get inside. Um, but yeah, it was definitely amazing because we got to walk around everywhere, get interviews. I talked to people from Canada, from Maryland, all over the place. Like people out of country were coming. I mean, this is a man that meant so much to so many people that they were willing to come across the border to get here. They were like, I'm gonna cancel all my stuff and I'm gonna come here. And that really meant a lot to me. And I'm just gonna that when I was interviewing some of the people, I was asking them what their impact has been, um, what Charlie's impact has been on their life, as well as what they have learned from him. And the one main thing was faith, and the second was his boldness. So those were the two things that I kept hearing that were resonating with people. So that was really amazing.
That is just so incredible. And what was it? What did it feel like in there? Because I saw footage, but I mean, I was amazed by the footage.
Yeah.
But what was it like actually being in those rooms, seeing everybody holding up those signs? What was the energy like?
Oh wow. Um, it's undescribable in a way because I'm looking around and I'm at the bottom floor and I'm looking at like up, and there's all the people filled to the very top, and I'm like, wow, wow, this is insane because there's so many people there, so many different people, um, and who knows what took for them to get here or to that day. Um, I was just astonished. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even have words to say like how I was feeling there.
Sounds surreal.
It
That's
was feeling like surreal. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And just the contrast of the speakers, Erica's forgiveness, that was
Hmm.
definitely the headline of the
Yes,
event.
that was one thing.
And then Trump's, like kind of masculine energy about enemies. Like, I hate them.
Yeah.
Sorry, Erica. Like, it was just so
Yeah.
interesting to see
Well,
that.
I've heard some people get very angry about Trump's, thing about that. I'm like, okay, well,
Well, I mean, maybe
I,
that's
you
his
know what?
role. I don't know.
I'll be
Like,
honest. I had a little cringe moment, but I did laugh. I was like,
well, and then he was like, Charlie, you'd be mad at me, but like,
hmm.
I can't help it. Like, that's what he kept saying.
I
Um,
actually wrote down a lot of quotes from people.
oh my goodness,
One of them was by Larry. Pete Arndt, the president of Hillsdale College. If you don't know them, they're amazing. They have awesome online courses for free. But Larry Pion was talking about how he was challenging Charlie Kirk, very young Charlie, on certain things, and he couldn't, articulate what he wanted to say. And so he said, "Hey, you need to like, study." And Charlie went on to, study some of his courses. But Larry said, "If you want to grow, you must suffer, right?" And then he said that at the end of the speech, one of the things that that hit me was when he said that Charlie has suffered enough. He deserves this award, and he announced that he got the degree, the honorary degree. And that was crazy because from knowing him and saying you need to suffer and saying you have suffered, you've suffered enough, and that was I was like, whoa. In that moment, I was like, that is crazy. Um, and there's so many different things about like Rebecca Dunn saying he met every challenge with optimism and grit, and as well as Erica highlighting that this was the reaction to Charlie's death. However, when we saw the BLM riots, that was the reaction to somebody's death, right? And we're seeing such a contrast between the two.
Yeah, I mean, I went to 4 or 5 vigils. I couldn't go to the memorial myself because, I just had to,
Mm-hmm.
God was telling me it's not a good time for my family. But, I went to 4 or 5 vigils, and when I went there, all I saw was prayer, weeping,
Yeah.
so much praying, singing,
Mm-hmm.
worshiping, preaching, silence, moments of
Yeah.
long silence, candle lit stuff. And I went to the one in Glendale. There were like 500 people there, and it was just like there were moments where you just couldn't, you could hear a pin drop because people were just so
Mm-hmm.
silent. And it's like it's just crazy. Like, can you imagine that back in 2020, if there was like a BLM protest happening and someone got up on stage and said, "Hey, we need to like forgive that officer." Can you
No,
imagine if
you
like
wouldn't have heard that.
we didn't hear that? Like it's
Mm-hmm.
just, and it's like, why? Why did we hear that thing of like okay, so I was talking to this guy the other day and he said it really well. He said the left thinks the right is evil. And the
Yeah.
logical conclusion that someone has, that a normal human has when something is evil, or someone is evil, or a group is evil, is to eradicate it and to terminate it. Now, the
Mm,
right's general view on the left is more of like they're misguided and misdirected, and like a worst case, like mentally ill. But what do you do for someone like that? You want to help them, you want to educate them, you want to help them, like
right.
you want to
Yeah.
teach them, you want to like be a light in their life to help pull them out of whatever is pulling them down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and this guy specifically, he was just sharing this opinion with me, so I was just kind of listening to it. But one thing he had shared was one of his, like wife's nephews, um, was basically saying like, how do we save America by burning down all the churches? And it's just like, well, of course you're, and what this man said to me was, of course you're going to say that when you think that Christianity is evil. Like,
Mm-hmm.
then in your eyes, you're being righteous by saying something like that. You're
Right.
trying to terminate evil from the earth.
Yeah.
But it's just such a corrupt and warped perspective. And I've seen a lot of silence on Charlie's death too, amongst my, my more left-leaning friends. And to that, I just say, okay, I know you're aware of it. You're choosing to be silent on it. I'm not going to guilt trip you for being silent about it. That's ridiculous and preposterous. But I know that you're noticing the reaction is peaceful,
Right. It
truly
is.
Christian. And I hope and I pray that just, um, you know, puts a puts a thorn in your shoe for like
Well, that it
maybe
wakes
doubt
up.
some of the,
Right.
lies that you believe.
You know, you know what, and I don't want to jump too far, but I did have some stuff from school that happened today. So,
Yes, yes,
do you
go
want to hear
ahead. Yeah.
about that?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
tell me.
I'm looking at my notes because I sent an entire voice note to several group chats because I was like, I can't believe this happened today.
Gosh, oh my gosh, tell us, tell us, tell us.
Okay. So I did two classes this morning. So my first class was for political science, but it was outside the classroom. It was just before the professor got there. One of the other professors was walking to his class with his phone playing a it was a speech from Trump. Okay. Now, reasonable people could be thinking, okay, he's probably hearing either an address to, some sort of problem and issue, so he's going to get educated on it, hear what he has to say. He's listening to the news. Okay. It's, 8 in the morning. People do that all the time before they go to work. So he's walking through the hallway with it. One of my classmates turns to her friend and says, I wish they could get him just like they did Charlie.
Oh my gosh.
I looked over at them, and the one friend who was with her gave me the side eye because she was like, you shouldn't say that because, you never know what, people hear, And I looked at them and I was just like staring at them because I was like, that is crazy. And she's like, well, I don't care. I don't care if anybody hears me or knows. I want them to know who I hate. Like, I'm so angry today. And I was staring them down. And one of the classmates looked at me and she could see me and she was like, what? You
It's like the
you
hate. So
just
Charlie Kirk is assassinated, and the hate is not coming from the right, it's still coming from the left. Like, what?
she just wished that the professor got shot in the neck too.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
That's
Adam Sandler said it really well. So
mm,
Adam Sandler attacked Jimmy Kimmel as well.
oh,
Attacked verbally, like, was like,
okay.
you were in the wrong, my friend.
Yeah.
And what he said was, the minute you start, like, he was like, he basically said, somebody died.
Yeah.
And if you just like stop caring that somebody died on
Hmm.
American soil for like no good reason, like no self-defense, you know, he wasn't like an evil doing man. He was like, you know, uh anyway, he was basically saying if we stop taking death seriously, we start being desensitized and like we can't do that. We can't. So Adam Sandler, who's like I'd say he's pretty like most Gen Zers love the guy.
Yeah.
He was just like, "No, you can't. Mm, you got to take murder seriously, like an
Yeah.
actual genuine murder that was unjustified. You have to take it
Right.
seriously because otherwise you lose your humanity. You lose your only card that we have as
Hmm.
people. Any like anything that justifies us and any belief we have. It's like the base of our belief, is
Yeah.
like um I liked what he said. I liked what
Yeah.
he said. Maybe I'm
That's
not
good.
maybe I'm not saying it perfectly how he said it, but
I'm sure we can go watch it or read what he said.
yeah, but it
Yeah.
basically Adam Sandler was like speaking up against the hate that is being uh spewed on Charlie Kirk. And Charlie
Yeah.
Kirk's it's just
I'm
anyway.
glad that he did that. I do have one more thing that my professor said, and I'll try to wrap it up quickly. But um, so for my journalism class, my professor was asking about opinions about the Jimmy Kimmel situation. I said my 2 cents. I kept it very general, like, hey, I he has a First Amendment right. He does. I know it's a private company. Um, so technically, they can do whatever they want. He does have the First Amendment right of speech. He can say stupid stuff, and that's what he did. He was saying stupid stuff. That was, probably not the greatest judgment or taste in saying. Is I think that's what it boils down to. Is what simply. I have more stuff to say on that, but I just kept it very simple. Um, and other people were talking about it, and then she went on to talk about Charlie Kirk, obviously. And there's some crazy comparisons between the fact that Jimmy Kimmel apparently so they were saying Jimmy Kimmel didn't have the right to talk what he wanted to, but Charlie Kirk did. That was what I heard from one of the students. However, I can argue that Charlie Kirk actually didn't have the right to say what he wanted to say because he got shot. as a result of saying what he wanted to say. So
Yeah.
in reality, you can't really compare the two instances. You know, you cannot compare the fact that somebody just got taken off air and one of them got taken off air indefinitely,
Yeah.
like forever, really. And one of the things that I found my professor saying is that she's like, well, you know, to some people, I guess he was a good guy. You know, to those that liked him, he was maybe, you know, somewhat of a good guy. But he was, I've seen his stuff, I've watched his clips. He's a racist, a misogynistic person. And she kept on, you know, obviously name calling him. And she's like, well, you know, she's a white person. So she's like, well, you know, if I was a different shade, I would feel very offended right now, even though I am feeling very offended for them, you know, for all the minorities out there, you know, and what he would say and what he would do. And I'm sorry. Okay, I almost lost it because I kept silent because I knew that I was gonna like not be in the right place to speak on this at that very moment. But I want to say to her, if I ever can one day, is that I'm really tired of people who are white, right, telling minorities like me as a Latina what I should be offended for and telling me that they're offended for me.
Yeah.
That that really crossed the line for me. And when she said that.
You know, I feel like I know maybe it's not time for you to speak out like that in this environment because
Mhm.
like you said, it could like you have to be really like emotionally and mentally prepared
Right.
to take on the stress that it takes to not be anonymous about how you feel in a setting
Right.
like a college class because you have to continue going to school with these people and the
Yeah.
sabotage slips in. I've experienced the
Mhm.
sabotage. I personally had a professor who loved me, was so kind to me. She figured out my beliefs, and I think she might have seen it from a social media post that I did.
Mm.
Because when I went back, like I had posted the social media post that did really well, and then I went back to the school for another semester and things had changed. She had a
Mm.
completely different tone with me. She
Wow.
wouldn't make eye contact with me as much. It was just so blatantly obvious that she knew my beliefs and she hated them. And I didn't even like ever out myself, but it was just like she figured it out. So I just
That's
continued to be
crazy.
nice. I never even brought up politics in the classroom, but it's tough, especially,
Yep.
I mean, I think for different people, it's different. I know a guy who's like this really tall guy who's very prominent. Like his presence is prominent, and he has
Yeah.
shared that when he speaks up for his beliefs in a classroom, it's like totally fine and people actually respect
Mm.
him.
Yeah.
Um, for me, I didn't necessarily experience that, but I'm
Yeah.
also in a classroom environment like that, I feel a lot more vulnerable. I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm very short. I'm
Yeah.
5'1". I'm
I feel the
a
same.
female. I'm like kind of in person, I'm a little more soft spoken than I am necessarily like on the
Yeah.
podcast that
That's
we
the same
do.
for
And
me.
yeah, exactly. So it was a lot harsher, and I didn't know how stressful it was really going to be.
Mhm.
And there's kind of like alphas in classrooms.
Yeah, totally.
Um, I don't know. I don't know. That's just some of my experience. But I hope that one day, if you do have a chance to say that where it's appropriate, like maybe like right when you're about to graduate or something, or wherever God tells you
Yeah.
that it's time, if you were to say something like that, just it's like calling them out. But
Yeah.
then again, it's like, does that really change their mind? Does that really help the situation? I don't know. Sometimes it makes them have a stronger opinion.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's so hard. I know
It's
that
tough out there.
what's his name? James O'Keefe was saying that he would give a little camera to anyone who's dealing with this and
You know
out
what?
them.
You
Get
know
one.
what?
Get one. Yes, apply for it. Get one. And then like the videos will start going viral and you'll just be like, that's weird. Did somebody like, hmm? Like, I don't know. I'm just
No.
no, maybe you should though. I don't know.
Well, did you want to quickly talk about you have little time left, but
Saying is, we like I just want to encourage everyone to continue praying for Turning Point during these times Do you have any closing comments, Ellie?
Yeah, no, I just say continue to support Turning Point if you can. But also do what Charlie Kirk um was doing. Encourage healthy discourse among whether it's your friends, your relatives. Continue to do what he did because that really impacted so many people. But most importantly, I encourage anyone who is watching this who isn't saved to um, take a look at what it is to be a Christian. Open a Bible, go to church. Yeah, I think that would be the best thing that you could probably do right now.
Amen. Well said, Ellie. And please make sure to subscribe to 180 Shift, turn on notifications, and learn more about us at 180shift.org. Catch you next time on the Radar Rundown.
Bye.